So the whole model is now unwrapped, and I had this one part that I decided to redo because I had multiple cuts over here, though I decided that I want to make this whole UV shell because, as you can see on the reference, there's a lot of things going on, and I want to make sure that this part will be symmetrical, and I will reuse the side of the grip. So for better reuse, I would like to have this part as well, so that this like curved thing would be symmetrical and will be even from both sides. Though I want to leave this part unique because we have some markings here. We do have markings over here as well, but most of the time like the gun is held in hand, so in favor of saving some UV space, I will not do this marking over here. I'll just leave it blank, though I'll do this grippy part, but without letters. Though I want to keep letters over here, and I will leave this part unique. And actually I have no choice because we have this cut over here. So yeah, this part should be unique. Okay, so now when we're done with unwrapping, I want to optimize my UVs before packing. And in order to do that, let's go into UV editor. Let's select all these guys. Select all the shells and click layout. It will reorganize our shells. However, you can see that after unwrapping, we have all our shells differ by scale. In other words, it has different textile density. For those of you who don't know what is a textile density is, it is basically amount of pixels per centimeter in your scene. So the gun has actually some kind of scale in the scene. It has dimensions which are proper, and based on that scale of the object, textile density shows you how much pixels on the texture will be per one unit of your scene. It is, by default, it's in centimeters in Maya. And so you also have to specify the texture resolution because that's important. And when you have texture, your map resolution, you can either click get or set. So if you click get, you will basically have this amount over here. So you select this shell. It is in transform. Go to transform. Select a shell, for example this one. Click get, and you will have 42. This means that like this UV shell have 42 pixels by 1 centimeter. And so the thing is that I want to make this textile density amount even for all of my shells, so that they would have the same average scale. So when you're like working in a project for a big client on a big project, you will most likely have the textile density standard. As this is like a personal work, so I will just pack all my gun into one UV texture, like UV set. So it's basically going to be 4K, one 4K map. But when you're working on a project, you will most likely have the textile density limit. So based on that, you will have to decide how many UV sets you will have, and you will have to match to textile density standard. So like this is most of the 3D artists who don't work in industry do not know what is a textile density is. So in few words, this is how it works. So let's select all the guys and select all the shells, and for example 40 set. Now we can see the scales of all shells, UV shells has changed. They are now all average. And just for better display, click layout. Now it's packed into 0,1 UV space. Okay, so as for optimizing, what I want to do now is duplicate my group with so that the previous version will be stored. And with this guy, what I'm going to do now is go from each part, and I'm going to delete symmetrical UV shell. So why am I doing this? Because if I delete UV shell, which is going to be reused, it's much easier to pack everything up. Because if you don't delete this one, you will have to match those two guys together on UV texture, on UV space. Right here, for example, we have these two UV shells. And turn off the symmetry. So if I want to keep this and not delete it, I need to perfectly match both of those. I will have to flip it, make sure that each vertex is going to align with according vertex of the another shell, and that's not handy. You know, it's easier to just delete the symmetrical part, and then after I'm done packing, I'll just duplicate it and flip it back. So this is, I mean, like, there are different ways of doing this part of a job, and I saw different artists doing different, they have different methods, but this one is best working for me. So I'm just showing my process. Okay, so right now keep your UV editor open and click shell. Select, go into shell mode. Now it's easier to select those that I don't need. So let's start with this guy. I don't need it. I'm going to flip it afterwards. Same with this one, but before you delete anything, make sure that they are like the same. Okay, so this guy, I don't need it as well. This and this. You might ask a question, why do we need to do the reuse? Why don't we do everything unique? Well, there are like few answers in that. First of all, this is a great practice for meeting some requirements, because when you're working on a project, you will have to do this optimization, because no one is going to let you do everything unique. And this is just a texture space waste, and if you can symmetry something, that's a plus. That means that you will use that space more wisely, and like the overall textile density of your mesh is going to be higher. And the second answer for this is that the least unique space you have to texture, the more time you have for texturing that part. So imagine you have both sides of this frame, and you have to spend double time on texturing one side and another side. While you have only one side of this frame, you can spend the same amount of time only on one side. It will look like much better. You will invest more time in this, and you will make this thing more like quality look, and you will be able to spend more time on it. Though it's going to be symmetrical, you will be see the same result on here, and that's totally okay, because I think it's pretty good, and it's totally fine to reuse something since you can't see this from one angle. So you cannot see the other side when you're looking at the gun, when you look at the gun like this. So you will see like this butterfly effect over here, but that's another thing, and you can mask it really in a really good way. There's nothing like hard to mask that butterfly effect. However, reusing is really useful thing. So I tend to do that a lot on my like personal projects, because it keeps your muscles working in terms of optimization, the mesh, and it gives you a lot of benefits while texturing. So let's go on with our shells. So these guys are also going to be symmetrified. This guy as well. And the more you can reuse, the better, actually. So these guys are going to be reused. And this wall can be reused. So this part over here is quite tricky because we have this cutout over here. So I cannot delete this part and then like flip it over there, because we have this missing part. We will have this missing part over there. However, this part is really rarely seen. I don't think player will be able to see it ever. So I'm going to leave this geometry, though I am going to reduce the size of this UV shell like dramatically, and that'll be better. But for now, we're looking for those guys that we can flip and reuse. So all of these guys, always double check the reference if there are any markings or something. No, it's clean. So these guys as well will be reused. So actually I'm going to reuse this guy as well. So I'll go into edge mode, and I will cut this edge in UV editor, cut and sew, and cut over there. Now select shell, select one size and delete it. Okay. This guy and this guy, are they the same? Yep, the same. Delete, delete. So I guess I'll do the same thing over here. Cut and delete right there. I can't do that with this one because again we have this cutout over there. Okay, this one as well. And I guess that's it. Yeah, no, this one can be reused as well. And now I think that's it. So nothing comes to my mind. Yep, we're good. So as you can see, there's like pretty much a half of the model. So right now I saved a lot of UV space, and that's really good. Okay, so this was the first one. Let's go to the slide and do the same. From this side, it's not that there's not much of those things that I can reuse, but still I can find some. For example, those serrations over there, they are quite the same, right? So along with these guys, so I can delete those, right, like this. Also, this UV shell is symmetrical. Just thinking, is it worth it? Okay, whatever. Let's do this. This one as well. So I could actually do this guy and replace it with this guy, but it's really not significant, so I will not do that. I'm not going to touch this, the main part, because we have this cut over here and we have different markings. Right, and I could cut this part because it's, no, I could not, because we have this cut over here, so it's good. We have markings over there and here, so I'm not going to do that. So I guess I'll do this. I'll select those edges and I'm going to cut those right there, and I'm going to delete those UV shells. Okay, so the interior part is not symmetrical as well. Everything is different. That's okay. So I guess that's pretty much it. Nothing else can be like flipped. I could like cut those guys over there, but there will be a seam over there, so I'm not sure if I want to do this, because there's like a soft transition right there. Okay, so I'll keep it like this. All right, and this guy does not need to be symmetrical. This guy as well. Just going one by one. This guy. Well, this one can be flipped. And I'll cut it right there. And delete this shell. Yep. Let's go for the next. Okay, so this spring rod over here can be definitely flipped and reused, so I'll cut right there and delete this UV shell. And I think I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'll cut this thing here and delete this UV shell. This is going to be unique, obviously. Okay. Now, who's next? This part is unique, as well as this one. The bullet is going to be unique. The barrel. Usually, if it is a game project or a client work, I would reuse the inside of the barrel. But since we have the rifling on the barrel, I would not do that. I'll keep it like this. Though I might reuse the side of the barrel. Or not. No, I'll keep it like this. I'll keep it like this. So we can delete these guys because we will barely see this in game, in engine, because you can see it's covered with the slide over there, so you can definitely delete this one. I could reuse the chamber, but we have this asymmetrical part over there, so no. I will keep it like this. Well, I guess that's it. Okay, so like this. Who is this? Right. Magazine. You can see this weird seam that I did here. That was made on purpose because I want to reuse the whole side of this magazine, and this is the only part that differs from the other. So, and like the construction of this magazine is quite suitable for this situation, because on the high poly we have this hard edge transition right there and right there, so it's acceptable to place a seam over there. It's not going to be that like visible, and you will be able to hide it, though you are now going to save a lot of UV space. So let's delete one side over there. As for the internals, I will leave it like this. So one thing worth mentioning is this guy over here. You can see that it is unwrapped in a straight line. That's made on purpose, and I was mentioning like quite a bit before. As you can see, these guys are really thin, and there's really not much texture information is left for these guys. So it's really important to have them really straight, so that there will be like a perfect pixel line on the edge of this UV shell, so that on the normal map it will look like perfectly straight, and this line is going to be baked like really good. If it will be curved like this, there will be like this stairs effect of the pixels going onto each other, and the quality will be a bit worse. So same thing for these two guys. They are straight in a line. Okay, so let's go on. This guy's okay. This one, you can see that I prepared those seams over there to reuse both sides. And we do have some markings over here. And if I do that, I will have to get rid of this marking. But I can replace that marking with some sort of a number that can be seen from like both flip sides. Like I can use ones, like 1, 8, 0 symbols, and it will look okay from both sides. So I guess I will delete one side of this. Yeah. So let's delete this one. And let's check if there's anything else we can delete. So right now I figured out that there's like one more trick that I would like to show you. You can see here that this part, this like big UV shell, is actually almost fully covered with the magazine. And actually there's a lot of magazine we have over here that is never going to be seen. That's another actual thing. Let's fix this. Let's select the edges and connect those. And right now, whatever you do, make sure you have your preserve UVs, because if you have this unchecked, whether you move this thing, it's going to mess with your UVs. So let's align this line over here and move it just slightly below the magazine extension, and let's just scale it. I don't like this guy over here, why it's so. Does not want to scale. Okay, I'll do this manually. So like this, then select this fellow, and somehow it's not sliding. Why? Right, now it's sliding. That's weird. Okay, so I can snap it properly. So like this, turn off the edge slide. Snap it to this guy. Yeah, okay. So now let's just delete this part that's never gonna be seen. However, you can see that it takes a lot of UV space over here. What is that? Okay, we have another issue there. So again, let's snap this guy right there, and same along this one right there. And now, yeah, looks better. So now select those shells. Right, not shells. Select the edges first. Cut this UV shell. And now we can delete it. Like this. Okay. So now I was talking about this UV shell. So like there's a lot of space we have which is unused. The trick to solve this problem is to select those faces over there and extrude, Control E, inside just a bit. And we have a problem because extrusion does not work with UV. It messes up the UV. Okay, I guess I had to do this before I unwrapped. Okay, so since we are unwrapped already, I will go and do this thing manually. First of all, select these guys because I want to make this symmetrical. Connect once so that the symmetry could work properly. Now turn on the symmetry and let's just multi-cut this kind of form. As you can see, when we are multi-cutting, it does not mess with the UV. It works 100% fine, like this. Okay. Okay, so now select those edges that we just created, like this. And I think you already guessed what I'm going to do here. And cut this. Now we have this like big UV shell inside, which we do not need because it's fully like hidden. So just delete this one. Now we have just like this small edge part over here that will be baked and will be looking nice. But the rest is not needed. I think I have an end gun over here. Yep, like this. And yeah. Okay, so same thing with this bottom face over there. I don't need all of it. Just thinking what is the best way of doing this. Okay, let's do pretty much the same thing. So select, connect, and turn on the symmetry. And let's just go through all of those guys, because this thing uses a lot of texture information which is not going to be seen. We don't need that one, so I can only just delete it. Connect these guys and these guys as well. I can weld these guys. All right. Now I can just, even like without cutting shell, I just can select these faces and delete it. It will automatically create a shell. Okay, so now we're looking good. And same thing with this guy over here. It also requires same actions. So let's connect and multi-cut, starting from here to here. Right. Right, I can't do the symmetry because this face is on the both sides of the symmetry. So I have to connect it like this. Now we have two faces on the both sides, and it will work. Just connect those guys, and now we can delete like so. So after I'm done baking, I will just move this part as much as possible closely to this upper magazine part, so that we will not see this hole in here. Delete this guy, we don't need it. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, now we're looking good. And as for the symmetry, I am not going to do any of that. So the sights. A lot of things can be reused here. Turn off the symmetry right now. Come on. So this part will be reused, this part as well, and that's it. That's fine. So this one as well, same thing here, delete this guy. And this is like really small, doesn't make any difference. Nope. Trigger and safety, grip safety, those guys can have some reuse. So this part, this one, yep, okay. You can also notice that I deleted this inner part of the grip safety, because you will never be able to see this. And the last mesh, we have this trigger safety. So same thing here. This can be reused. Okay, so now we're done. We deleted everything we could, and now you can see how much like additional space we have, even considering this guy is off. Still, we have a lot of space, and I'm actually going to save even more, because one thing is like deleting the flipped part. The other thing is when we have those areas of the mesh that is not going to be seen, or can be seen really rarely. So for those kind of parts, I'm just going to scale those UV shells down as much as I can, or even delete it. So let's examine this guy and see what can be shrinked, or, well, you can see that this thing takes a lot of space for textures, though this is this is like the whole thing that is going to be seen, because the slide goes back and it's going to be even more unseen. So I guess what I'm going to do here, I'm going to leave this geometry, but what I want to do here is to create another UV shell, connect, and move. right before that part. Okay. And now, same thing. Turn on the symmetry, turn on the multicut. And if you hold Control Shift, you can see that multicut will create a straight line. And let's finish it over there. Okay, so now let's cut along this edge we've just created. Cut over there. Now I'll be able to maintain this visible part with high textile density, while this thing, though I'm not sure it's going to be seen or not, I can make it really small textile density. So usually when I do this kind of work, I have my UV space over here. Let's move this guy in somewhere there, just to make it sure that we have it in. I tend to drop on the left side those guys that need to be shrinked just a bit. And on the right side, those guys that are going to be extremely shrinked. So it doesn't matter how much UV space they take, they should be scaled down as much as possible. Okay, so these guys over here, like, they will not be ever seen. Turn off the symmetry, select, and this one as well. This is going to be barely seen. So I can now move these guys on the right side, because I will know that they are really not important. So let's check out this part over here. Okay, same story. You can see that this part completely not seen, though we have this really much important part, and in order to make this thing look good, I will do pretty much the same thing. So I'll make a cut over here. It's completely okay to have this cut over here, because you will not see this cut when the gun is assembled, though it will help you to sort and optimize your model. Okay, so I move this guy on the right side. Same thing for these guys. Right side. I can actually double check this. If you're like not sure whether you're gonna see this or not, I'll go back to my previous model when I have everything like still assembled, not deleted. I'll go to slide and move it backwards, and now I can see what is actually can be seen or not. It's gonna move with this guy. Yeah, it moves right there. So okay, that part is okay to be on the right side, because it's going to be super dark over there. But the bottom part, you can actually see some parts of that. So okay, let's go back to this guy over here, and let's bring this one not on the right side but on the left side. So it's going to be smaller, but not dramatically smaller. And I forgot to check this interior part. And come on, We can actually see some part of that, but no, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. So the interior part, those guys, it's okay to have them on the right side. So this shell, okay, let's move to this one. I'll move this guy on the left, because when the slide cycles back we can still see some of this. And this guy has too much, it's not seen from this side, though we see just a bit of the part right there. Well, okay, I can do this trick over here. I can make a loop over here. So that this visible part would have normal textile density, but that invisible part can be shrinked. Cut it over here, and now move this shell on the right side. Okay, so this guy, let's check it on. Yeah. So this guy can go on right. It's going to be really small. This guy goes on the left, because we will be able to see some part of that. This guy goes on the left, same as this guy goes on the left. Or no, this goes on the right. Okay. So, all right. So I guess this is pretty much it. So you can see how this looks like. So these are the main shells. These guys. So we have to have the scale of those guys perfect. And these guys are going to be almost not seen, so it's not important how small I will do those guys. And these guys can be seen at some point, but there's no need to maintain those with the same textile density as the main guys. So I'll do the same trick for other parts. Okay, so let's go with the slide. This guy has a lot of those. So for example, this bottom part, you will never ever see this one, as well as this, and this. Tons of those guys. No, you might see this one, but not this. So these guys go on the right, along with this one and this one, right, and this one, along with these guys as well. we're barely going to see those. They're on the right side as well. Somehow I picked this one. No, I don't want this. This is important. So what else? This one's quite important. This one, really not sure. No, you can move it on the right. And I think that's it. Okay, those were two main guys. No need for optimization in this one. Who are you? No need. And no need. Okay, little b. No need for this. This one is going to go left. So this one, I'll keep this, as well as this one. The round is going to be okay like this. The barrel. So I'll move chamber to the left. And this thing as well. And actually the interior of barrel as well, though it has rifling. I'll do it slightly smaller anyways. And the bottom part, yeah, these guys, they're going to the right. They're going to be really small. Let's go next. The magazine. This guy goes to right, and those guys are going left. Okay. So the rest are good. And this guy, it's okay. This one as well. Sights. Well, okay, let's continue with, let's finish up this thing. Yeah, this is okay, this is okay. These guys are okay as well. Okay, so we have this shell over there, which can be moved to the left. And we have this big shell over here that is not going to be seen at all. Why I do have this. Cut it over here. And this guy goes to the left. Okay. Or even to the right. Yeah, this guy can move to the right. You will never be able to see it. As well as this one. Okay, and the last one, this guy. Okay, so we sorted those out. And now we can see, if you select all of those guys, we can see how much shells we have that can be shrinked really much. And they will save a lot of UV space. And still we have these guys that can be shrinked at least at some amount. So another thing that I like to do is to increase textile density for certain guys. For example, I have this guy over here, and on high poly I have this like serrations on this one, and this part is going to be straight in your face when you're aiming like this, so as well as this guy. So what I want to do is to increase the textile density of those guys. So I move those up, as well as this one, and not this one, because it has this transition to the other metal part, and I don't want to mess it up. Or no, I'll keep it like this. This is fine. So, but this is like a common thing to increase textile density on those parts that are more visible. When you're working on the project, you can actually decrease the left side textile density while increase the left side, because this is how you look at the gun in the game, so you are not able to see the other side. And I'm not going to do that right now because this is like a portfolio part, so I want to make sure that this gun looks good from any angle. But it is a common thing to do so for video games, and it's actually quite normal. So again, I don't have too much restrictions with this, so I'm not going to go over the top with this optimizing stuff, though I want to keep some optimizing procedures still. Okay, and I noticed this guy. You can see how many polygons we have on this guy because it is right in front of our eyes, and I want to make sure that this thing looks round. So I'll move those guys up. And yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I think we're done with optimizing. And now let's actually have change the textile density. So let's double check on this middle part, guys. So let's select, for example, this one and get 57, 57, 57. All of those are 57. That's good. So let's shrink these guys. No, first of all, I want to shrink these guys. This can be shrinked really bad. So it can be 29, even less. 24. So I shrinked it 2 times, even more than 2 times. I'll keep it like this for now. And as for the left side, I want to go one by one. So this one, I'm going to shrink not that much. It's going to be 40, somewhat like 40. And okay, actually I'm going to do all of those guys 40. So you can just select those guys and type in 40 and set, and you can see those guys are shrinking. So these guys are 24. You can go like this, set 24. This 39. And all of those guys are 57. Okay. Right, and the top guys. Those are 57. Let's make those 70. Set. That's not too much. Let's go 75. Set. Yeah, like this. Okay, so now we have our shells scaled in a certain manner. So we have all of those guys with regular textile density, which is going to be average for all the gun. We have a little bit smaller guys, and we have like really small guys. Those are the guys that we're not going to see. You can see this, those guys are highlighted. You will barely see that. And we have this right in front of our eyes, guys. So I want to make sure that those have some bit more textile density. So now we're ready to pack or to lay out if you want. So there are different, like tons of options for doing that. And Maya actually can lay out pretty not bad, but I found that this software called hold on a second, it's saving. Yeah, this software called Resume UV, this works like this thing does the best packing I've ever seen so far. So what I want to do now is just to select this guy and export it as FBX. Let's go with 1. And before we go back to that program, I want to go to this guy. First of all, return this thing to its place, and this one as well. And if I'll go back and import FBX, the FBX has some issues with naming. So as you can see, we have 2 folders, this one and this, and inside of those folders we have meshes with same names. And when you import an FBX with this kind of same naming thing, it like messes, and it tries to replace those things. So right now what I'm going to do is to select all of these guys, go into modify, search and replace names. So I'm going to replace just for search for low, and I will replace it with low 1. So the names will differ. And check on selected. We have this guys, and apply. You can see low 1. So I'm just making sure that this thing is going to be staying intact, right? Okay, so hide this, unhide this, export 1, and now let's launch this guy. So the tools of this guy is pretty powerful. You can unwrap in this program as well and do quite a bit different stuff. But I just got used to UV layout, and it's really handy as well, and I got used to this. So I still unwrap in UV layout, but you can do this in this program. I only use this one for packing. So in order to load your model, just load UV, go into exp and 1 FBX. You have this little viewport over here, and this is your UV space. So this is like the main tool set for the packing. This is where you set your resolution. This is pretty much the same thing as in Maya for texel density. You can pick and set. And this is the padding. This is like perfect perfect inputs for 2K texture with 8 pixels between each island and 4 pixels between island and the border. And this input is used for mid mapping. So if you have too little space between UV shells, you will have some problems after mid mapping. So the resolution of your texture is going to be downgraded, and you can have some issues between the shells because of really low spacing between those. So again, this is not a problem for this kind of project because this is a portfolio project, but when you're working for the project or for the client, you will have to maintain these things. This is important. Okay, so these are inputs. So quality is quite self-explanatory, so set on gold. Mutations means how many times you want to recalculate the packing. I usually set to 10. 10 is enough. Auto feed means that the program will pack all of your shells, and if this is enabled, it will scale your packing for 0 to 1 UV space. If you uncheck it, it will leave as it is with the current texel density. Also, initial scale keep. This is important, so it's not going to rescale your UV shells. This thing means that you can this thing is not going to rotate your shells. However, I'm not sure about this. I usually set it to this one, and I think it can rotate your UV shells on 90 degrees. You can, right, there's a glitch in this program. You have to select your click here to select the UV shells. Now select all of those, and now you have 90 degrees, which means that your shell can be rotated 90 degrees in order for better packing. Okay, so these are actually pretty standard inputs for packing, and I use as it is. So in order to pack, you just go and click this guy over here. So let's see what's going to be the result. Click pack. You can see the process over here. 0 means it is like on the 0 stage from 10. So you go through first iteration right there, and you can see there's a plenty space left according to the packing process, and according to that UV, and according to that texel density that you already have. Okay, so I guess I will stop it right now, and double check it, and now I will apply auto fit so that it will after it ends, it will just scale all the UV shells to fit the 0, 1 UV space. So let's go. Okay, so we jumped back into the very end of this packing process, and here's going to be the result. Boom. Okay, so the result is pretty not bad. I don't like this area right there, but like generally speaking, this program does a really good job of packing, and it is better than UV layout standard packing for sure, and it saves you a ton of time because some time ago I was packing like half manually, half UV layout, and that took me a lot of time. Now you can do this kind of work and it will be just great. So in order to fix this problem here, I'm going to have this lazy solution and just scale, for example, this shell just sideways just a bit. So anyways, this is a great result. I'm pretty much happy with it. And what is this one? No, so it's the outer barrel. Okay, so let's save this guy back into one. Let's go back into Maya. So I'm going to delete this one and import one. Yep. You can see we have this folder back here and this folder intact because we replaced the names. So and now let's double check the, yep, here it is packed. So let's check the textile density, 72. Okay, that's a lot, even for 2K. So okay, the only thing now left is to duplicate all of those deleted shells back, but like there's one thing worth mentioning. When you import and export mesh, like an FBX, you now have your hard and soft edges locked. And as you can see, you cannot edit your hard and soft edges. For example, I just selected hard edge and it did nothing. That's because after import we have locked normals. In order to fix that, you can go into mesh and or mesh display, mesh display, and unlock normals, but it will destroy your setup of soft and hard edges. So for example, mesh display, unlock, and you can see everything is hard edge. This is bad. For this purpose, there's this nice script that unlocks your normals, maintaining your current setup of hard and soft edges. So there are like a lot of free scripts, but I will leave in source files this script. This will help you a lot. So what you do, just select the mesh, click unlock, and it's done. Delete history, soften hard edges. Yep, you have it all back. We need this because when I'm going to flip the reused parts, I will have to place at some places soft edge, and this will be impossible if you have locked normals. Alright, so now we can select an edge and place a hard edge, and you can see it works. Okay, so now I'm going to flip the reused parts. I will show you, for example, on one small part, and then I will speed up because this is pretty much boring part. And we'll go back and do the baking.